tickets. Tickets are available right now to see this man right here, the 7-time Mr. Olympia, Phil Heath. My man, Phil, the last I saw you, you were on the road getting ready to move somewhere. Where'd you end up?
Just further south of Denver. Downtown was a little crazy, with everything going on in the world. I'm sure some people have seen the images and stuff. So wanted to get a little bit out of the city life, kind of get in the suburbs a little bit so I can kind of, focus.
You're locked down. Yeah, it's funny. I think after I took this position a couple of years ago, once I got settled in, one of the first phone calls I made was to you. And of course, that was because everyone knows that for me to have you at the Olympia is a really important thing. I was texting you, trying to guilt you into it, trying to come up with every possible way to get Phil Heath back on the Olympia stage. I knew the fans wanted it. And certainly it was something that everybody was hopeful for. And we weren't able to, of course, put it together last year. But I guess that leads me to my question, Phil. Why now? Why was now the right time? I know you've been going through a heck of a personal journey, a professional journey, so many things going on in your life. A lot of people don't know this about you, Phil. Well, those who follow you probably do. But you have a thirst for knowledge and experience, really unlike most athletes that I encounter. You're somebody who really cares deeply about connecting and tapping into different energies, and it's something that I think we all really admire about you. So what was it? What was the end game, and how did we get to this place where you were feeling like now was the right time?
Simply because that there was fucking unfinished business to take care of. Simple as that. I'm gonna leave it at that. To be honest, I know I'm a man of many words, but I knew I had a job to do. It didn't get done, and job's not finished.
So the unfinished part of that, since you mentioned it, I know unfinished has been a mantra for you, and I couldn't think of a better way to sort of, capture all the components of what you've been going through. And it really has been a journey of unfinished business for you. And it's one that I know a lot of people connect with, because I think many people are going through parts of their lives where there are scores to settle, and there's unfinished business, and there's things that need to get done, right? And you've done a great job of kind of connecting your story, I think, to all those millions who follow you. But I'll be honest with you, that started in 2018, right? So you come to the 2018 Olympia looking to tie the all-time record, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And of course, the unexpected happened. Sean Roden came in, ready to battle, and he beat you. And I'd have to imagine if you could kind of go back to that night in 2018, and you can think about it for a second, and think about the moments leading up to it, while it happened, and those days, weeks, and months after that 2018 Olympia. If you could go back, now that you're a little bit more reflective, you've had a chance to kind of process, and we're not as emotional today as we were at that time. What are some of the things you might have done different?
I would have done absolutely nothing different. Absolutely nothing different. I felt like I trained like I normally should, as a 7-time champ would. And I went into it with great intentions of, tying that record. Did not happen. And there's no excuses. The job just did not get completed. And it was unfortunate for me, but at the same time, I looked at it as a challenge for myself. And I made a couple, I did a few different interviews that some people may have seen that pertain to focusing on myself in a different way. Not on a physique, but on just focusing more on the man himself, primarily because winning all those titles for consecutive years, life goes very, very fast. And although I felt like I could master that formula of victory, I needed to understand the journey itself. And, the journey was just boom. Like, I turned pro in 2005. I had success all throughout. And, of course, winning a lot and then losing, but that loss got me here. And that's something that I'm actually thankful for. I actually had a conversation with Jim Mannion not too long ago, and I told him exactly that. I said, 2018 happened. regardless of how I felt, win, lose, whatever, it happened, okay? And 19 came, I focused on myself. I still focused on my physique. I mean, which is funny because, shoot, after the second surgery, I wasn't in the gym until like late April, and had everybody believing that I was going to win the Olympia, even you, going into last year. So that gave me a lot of confidence to say, you know what, I was able to focus on a business, with establishing Heath Labs on Amazon Prime weekend. So we were doing that. Real quick, shout out to all my fans out there. Shout out to my team over at TGC. Shout out to my man, Isaiah Thomas. I can't wait to see you back in the NBA. Just want to say shout out to all the fans out there. But, 2019 was great. I turned 40 years old that December. And I was at the, a week before that, I was at the Dubai Muscle Pro show. I made sure I took some time to reflect. I was sitting outside, jet lagged. I was with Hani Rambad, Hadi Chopin, and friends. And while they were talking in Farsi, I decided to pull my phone out. And I started writing down various thoughts and feelings. And those things were going into my 40th year of living. And I wanted to use that as my code of conduct and how I want to go back and win number 8. So here I am, very excited, and, let the games begin.
The question on everyone's mind is, look, bodybuilding, we can spin this 100 different ways, but at the end of the day, bodybuilding is a sport of intense analysis. It is a sport of comparisons. So what can the fans look for differently? 2018, now keep in mind, it's been now, by the time you get to the stage this year, it will have been 3 years since you won your 7th Mr. Olympia. It will be 2 years since you last competed by the time you get to the event this year. And by the way, you're relatively young in the grand scheme of things, compared to other champions who were at this part of their process, right? So the question becomes, what is it that the fans can anticipate seeing from this version of Phil Heath in contrast to what we saw the last time he took the stage?
They'll see a healed Phil Heath.
Yeah. And that's all it takes.
Hey, I mean, everybody and their mama, including the Lord, was talking about, so healed Phil Heath. That's it. I think we all know what happens if I'm healed, right? I think everybody knows if I'm healed, what will happen.
So you have I always say you're the first Mr. Olympia of the real social media era, right? And I only mention that because it's really impacted the relationship you have with the bodybuilding fans. Mm-hmm. I've been covering this sport for a real long time. And I can tell you that I don't ever remember a champion having as polarizing a relationship with the fan base as you do. And of course, when we say polarizing, we refer to the response that you get, the passion that you invoke. They love you. Many do not. It seems to be, you're certainly well respected and you are adored the world over. You touch fans in ways that a lot of other champions never have. You force people to think. You are somebody who kind of resonates in a very unique way over the other Mr. Olympias who I've had the privilege of covering and athletes that I've been around over the years. Describe, if you would, your connection with the fans, because I know it's always been sort of a hot, cold journey for you, and you're never afraid to connect with fans. You're not afraid to get into it with fans at times. It's something that you've always been you wear your heart on your sleeve. So talk about that relationship with the fans, because for you, I think it's a very unique one compared to other champions we've had.
I actually think I have a very good relationship with my fans, and I think what you're describing is from years past.
Okay.
And I also think it's because of the consistent narrative that vloggers have used to try to get more follows. They'll run. I mean, look, let's be honest. We had guys like Louis Marco run ad after ad after ad, ad after ad after ad. We had Nick Power guy, whatever the hell his name is, ad after ad after ad. all to give themselves more love online, because everybody, let's be honest, there's love and there's hate and there's misunderstanding. And then there's respect. And I feel like I am respected. I feel like my real fans know who I am. They understand my heart. They understand what I've contributed to the sport for years on end. You know, I've seen various people say, what has Phil Heath done for the sport? And I'm like, gosh, I've done quite a bit. And, Dan, I had a charity event at the Arnold Classic for 7 years in a row, like for autism awareness, and people would dare to say these things, right? So it's kind of interesting how people continuously will talk about certain things. It's like that in politics too, right? We see that. Fox News says one thing, CNN says one thing. And unfortunately, through my career, I didn't have like a news channel that would say, no, Phil is doing these things. And yes, I would respond because I was misunderstood. And, that's just, that was something that was very difficult early on because of those other pros and other champions did not have to go through. And I didn't have, management. I didn't have a manager. Now I do. Danny Garcia, who we all know who that is. An amazing team behind her as well. And, just aligning myself also with very highly successful people outside of the sport of bodybuilding. During that time where I was, not competing, I realized, damn, man, like I have a lot to be proud for. I have a lot of cool things to be excited about.
Right. So,
you're going to have trolls. I mean, the minute the announcement went, it was probably 99% positive. And then you're going to have someone that wants to be the anti-Phil guy because it will provide them clicks. We know this. I've seen it. And majority of the stories that are against me, oh, he's cocky, he's this, he's that. That's why I have a documentary called Breaking Olympia. It's a working title. We could change it later. But that's why we have a documentary being filmed with my friends Adam Scorgi, Brett Harvey, and co-produced by Seven Bucks Productions. Because we'll be able to tell the real story behind the scenes of what really goes on in here, but also in here. And, I'm very happy about everything, to be honest, because you can't have everybody like you in life. And I think a lot of people that may be watching, and there's a lot of pros out there too that want to be liked so fucking bad. They just want to be liked. They'll sell their freaking soul to be liked. Fans will write their favorite, not even their favorite athlete, for a like, but yet talk trash about them to another bodybuilder. I've seen it. So for me, it's like, it's not about being liked. It's about me doing what I want to do in this life. And if I have the privilege to inspire other people, man, that's just icing on the cake. So I'm very proud and I'm very honored and humbled by this opportunity to have won numerous Sandows, to fly around the world in over 30 countries, meeting various people, to have murals built of me in various gyms worldwide. You don't get that by being hated. You get that by being appreciated. And I thank God for that. And it is going to come with some negativity or whatever, but that is not anything to do with me. That is their perception of themselves, right? That has nothing to do with me. They could be going through I've had fans write the nastiest stuff, and then 2019 comes after the Olympia, and they're writing me saying, I talk trash about you. I hope you come back. I was just upset. And here we have, even people on here. Wow, Phil's insecure, this and that. People will misunderstand you. And that's why I tell fans, no matter what you do in life, people will misunderstand you. They will make up their own narratives about you. All that matters is how you feel about yourself. I'm not out here hurting anybody. I'm not in the newspapers doing wrong. I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm doing it at a very high level. And at the end of the day, you got to just let them do them and you do you. And that's why I'm here to once again put my name on the dotted line, come to the show, and I know I'm going to be received with much more love than the hate.
Well said, Phil. I hope every kid in the world who's been through a spot where somebody has tried to define them or call them a name or tell them that there's something, I hope they go back and they listen to your words, because there's a lot of truth in that. And I think you really said it in a way that goes far beyond any bodybuilding stage. So
Thank you.
very well said. Speaking of greatness, the Mount Rushmore of bodybuilding, if you will, includes Ronnie Coleman and Lee Haney, and they sit there side by side, and the two of them have been sort of all alone together for now 15 years. It's been 15 years since Ronnie won it for the 8th time. And you are going to try to join bodybuilding's most, hollowed ground, as they say. It is the rarest of air. It is the pinnacle of our sport, an 8-time Olympia champion. You need to win one more time to join that elite club. And I know, Phil, that's a number that you have known about for as long as you have stepped foot in a gym for the first time. It is the number in the sport of bodybuilding, 8-time champion. Talk about what that means to you as you begin a contest prep that, if successful, would put you in a place that few could ever dream of.
Well, the quick answer would be unreal. Primarily because who gets into this sport saying, I'm going to be 8-time Mr. Olympia? That's like some kid saying, I'm going to be Michael Jordan and actually have the skills to do it. And also, one of those things that, now that I'm on this subject, is you can have the physique, but do you have the timing of showcasing that physique? Do you have the timing of becoming a bodybuilder at a particular moment in life? Like, I became a bodybuilder after not making it to, the next level of basketball, right? So I'm, one door closed and another one opened. And I remember when I first started competing, I remember saying to myself, I need to watch some game film. And, with my basketball mind, I'm like, I need game film, right? So I went online. I bought, obviously, Pumping Iron. I bought Total Rebuild and The Comeback, which is a DVD, right? Which is the same as Total Rebuild, but they just renamed it, right? But then I also purchased every VHS that, and kids don't even know what the hell this is probably, but I bought every VHS of the Olympias that Lee Haney won. Every one of them. Because I needed to know my past. You know what I'm saying? It's like a kid, like a dad's teaching his kid how to box or something like that, and said, you need to watch Ali, son. You need to watch Joe Frazier, son. You need to watch Mike Tyson. You need to watch this game film. Because I didn't have a coach when I first started competing. And so I watched those videos of Lee Haney. I just was like, wait a minute, this is the guy that I saw on ESPN when I was a kid. Like, this is the guy. Holy smokes, this is Mr. Olympia. Wow, I was kind of watching bodybuilding growing up, when it was on ESPN.
Right.
And then when I progressed into, getting ready to turn pro and stuff like that, I mean, Ronnie Coleman was the champion, of course. So, of course, although I was friends with Jay at the time, I'm looking at the champ and I'm looking at, this is the guy. This is the guy that everybody's trying to beat. What makes him so special? So, of course, I buy another, by then I think I bought the disc of The Unbelievable. But I also got Ronnie's Night of Champions win. So I watched that, and then I watched the Olympia of '98 on VHS, and I just watched everything, watched every athlete. I can remember even the color of the posing trunks they had and the song that they posed to, pretty much. And I just fell in love with, the sport and what those two guys, went through. So, yeah, when you talk about the Mount Rushmore, I mean, obviously those two are on it. I personally think I'm already on it, because you got 4 people. You got, this guy named Arnold Schwarzenegger. But when you talk about the 2 highest, man, they won 8 in a freaking row, man. That's something that I didn't do.
Right.
another level. And I remember watching Ronnie. I think my first Olympia was, 2005. Yep, I had just turned pro. I was working for Weeder. I was doing the booth stuff. Got one ticket. Went to the cheap seats. Got on the far left-hand side. People are like, "Aren't you the guy that was on the cover of Flex?" I was like, "No, that's somebody else." They're like, "I'm supposed to be sitting down there." But anyway, I was able to watch Ronnie win his 8th title, but I also got to hang out with him. And courtesy of Hani Rambai, shout out to the Pro Creator, but got to hang out with him after his after party and got to see like what it was like backstage, or not, like at the after parties. Where do you go eat? What do you do? And I hung out with him till like 7:30 in the morning. I was like, "Hey, Ronnie, I'm getting ready to turn in," and he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm about to go do this photo shoot." I'm like, "You're gonna go do a photo shoot?" It's like, "Yeah, I'll do a photo shoot, and then I go do the seminar." I'm like, this guy didn't sleep. But what was cool about this story is that I got a chance to see what an 8-time champion, what it was like in that arena. I got to see what it was like afterwards with his friends and his family. And I had the privilege of hanging out, firsthand, of being able to have that story. So it means a lot to me, being able to chat with Ronnie. I've toured with Ronnie for years. He's obviously one of my favorites of all time. Lee Haney has always been a great gentleman for me. He's given me great advice, great perspective. Who doesn't love Lee Haney? But at the end of the day, I mean, I would be honored to share that Mount Rushmore with those two guys. I mean, that's what I'm training for.
Sure. I know you got to run in a minute, but real quick, I saw some of the most positive responses when this announcement came down the other day, came from some of the guys that you're going to be competing against. I saw, of course, you heard me tell the story of Brandon Curry earlier. You saw the response from Dexter Jackson, probably a guy who also can make an argument for a spot on that Mount Rushmore, right? And you heard me, you saw the response from Flex Lewis. It seems like everybody is just real excited, even the folks who actually stand to be the most inconvenienced by the fact that you're back in the show. They're going to have to compete against you and deal with you on that stage. They all seem real excited. Talk about what it means to you to kind of get that sort of positivity from the folks that you're actually going to be going to battle with in December.
I think there's a camaraderie within bodybuilding, but I also believe that they're going to use me as motivation.
Sure.
They needed more motivation. It's as simple as that. They've all said it at some point, that Phil Heath coming back makes me train harder. Brandon Curry said that. A few other people have said that. I don't look at bodybuilding that way, but I know that's why they all are happy in some shape or form, because they weren't prior. So this is their way of saying, yeah, he's coming back. There's I'm sure there's some sentiment there of like, camaraderie, like it's going to be great to share the stage with you and may the best man win and all that shit. But primarily, I'm not buying these tricks. I know it's probably because they're using me as their antagonist so that they stay on target, they stay diligent in their process. But, at the end of the day, I mean, champions do champion shit. And we don't motivation from others. We look at it from within. And that's what I do.
So December 18th, 2020, prejudging for the 2020 Mr. Olympia will take place. And Phil, for those people around the world who don't know it, what else is happening on December 18th, 2020?
Well, I'll be 41 years old on the 18th of December. But most importantly, I'll be competing at the Mr. Olympia contest at prejudging. So
Phil, you're not letting me make a story out of this. So when we were making plans to move the Olympia, it became evident at one point that there was a chance that Olympia weekend was going to be moved to these very dates when we were able to secure our deal with the Planet Hollywood. And of course, we're all excited about that. But one of the first calls that I made when we got wind was, of course, I being the former professional journalist. I'm just making a comeback for tonight, then I'm going to go back to work again, doing what I do to oversee the Olympia. But I remembered your birthday was December 18th. And then I saw that we were going to be having potentially prejudging. And I picked up the phone, I called you, and I said, Phil, if we end up locking this thing down, that is as prophetic and as much of a sign that you better be coming back and I'm glad it played out that way. And as far as you're concerned, I'm sure you couldn't imagine a better birthday present that weekend than an 8th standout trophy. What do you think?
Of course. I mean, I definitely looked at it as a great business tactic on your part, but also a great opportunity for me because I had already made my mind up a while ago that I was considering coming back after 2019. But you know, having it postponed, it worked. It worked out. You know, it gave everybody a chance to be able to prepare longer. And obviously, with what's going on in the world, it was a smart idea. It was the latest date that probably made sense. So, you know, it is what it is. You know, job's not finished until December 19th, and I'm walking away with the title.
Well, I know you got to run. For those who haven't seen it, head on over to muscleandfitness.com. There's a great interview that Phil did for us at Muscle and Fitness just moments after the big announcement, and it kind of provides a little more insight on some of the things that brought Phil to this place and to this time to make that decision that sort of has the bodybuilding world really excited. I would be remiss if I did not mention that VIP tickets are on sale, Mr.Olympia.com, and everybody is just real excited. And Phil, you know, I got to tell you, covering you over the years, it's been an interesting process because you force us all to be a little bit smarter, to think a little bit harder. Typically, if somebody spends an hour on the phone with you, or I know if I do, we're spending about 2 minutes talking about bodybuilding and the rest of the time talking about all sorts of other things. And I know that's a big part of who you are. You mentioned the name Danny Garcia earlier. Danny, of course, is somebody that we've had the privilege of working with as we've worked together on this process. And it is no secret that Danny and her production partner, Dwayne Johnson, have really big plans for some really fun projects in the fitness arena, in the bodybuilding world, in the healthy living space. And we're all excited to do what we can to support those projects. And there's just a lot of great things happening around the fitness community. And Phil, I know you've been a big part of it. And I'll let you have the last word before we get out of here.
Thanks, Dan. I just want to tell everybody thank you. I want to shout out my team over at TGC, the Garcia companies. Thank you. It's been a great journey, and I'm very excited for our team. Obviously, I'm obviously excited. To the fans, I told you I never retired. I kept telling you guys that I would never leave you hanging like that. You heard it from me first. I wasn't retiring. It just took time to reflect, and I'm back. Thanks, Dan. Thank you for this opportunity. And be sure to grab those tickets. Obviously, I'm going to be there. And to all the competitors, nothing.
That's it.
Later.
We're out.